Hey guys, TotemoGaijin here again. Um, First off, in my last video I referred to myself as Gintoki. Sorry about that. I just like to. That's my favorite name to use on forums since I'm such a huge Gintama fan. But today I wanted to talk about something a little bit different than video games or anime. I wanted to talk about books. Um, I don't read as much as I used to, but I do still have a few books that I would love to recommend to people. So let's. I'd like to start this off with it's a series by the Australian author Garth Nix. Um, he's written things like the Ragwitch. It's also a pretty good book. But the series I wanted to talk about today is, well, currently there's another book coming out, supposedly in 2014, but currently it's a trilogy known as the Old Kingdom trilogy. The first book is Sabriel. Um, this book is about a girl. She's in school. Um, in this one part of the world. But this world is basically split in two, and there's a division called the Wall. On one side of the wall, you have sort of what we would consider as the more modern, like the scientific world. And on the other side, we have it's called the Old Kingdom, and it's still held by the rules of like magic, sorcery, that kind of thing. Well, it's called. There's different kinds of magic there too, but her father is a man that's known in the Old Kingdom as the Abhorsen, and what he basically is he's a necromancer, but instead of going around raising the dead, he puts them back to rest. But one day, Sabriel gets a message from her father that he's in trouble and that he's stuck in death, and she needs to take up the tools of a necromancer and go succeed the work that her father was been doing. It's a really fascinating book. I would recommend it to anybody who loves fantasy, like zombies, magic, monsters, that kind of thing. I've read a lot of fantasy novels over my time, but this is one book that I could read this over and over and I just wouldn't get tired of it. And like I said, it's a trilogy, so the second book, it's called Lyriel. This book is about a girl who was born in what's called the library in the Old Kingdom. It's run by a group of people known as the Clare. They are, well, sort of like fortune tellers, or they clairvoyants, whatever you want to say. But she's never Lyriel has never been able to actually have any visions or something, so she's kind of the odd duck out at that place. And well, eventually, there's a bunch of circumstances, but it leads to her being the actual next in line after Sabriel to being the Abhorsen. There's some spoilers as to the reasons why she is, so I'm not going to tell you that. You'd have to read it for yourself. And she has some different methods that are part of her being having Claire blood in her too. But this is another fascinating book, and one of the things that's nice about it is that the characters from the previous book, Sabriel, have aged. I mean, Sabriel is married, she has children, that sort of thing. But it's another fascinating book in the series. It's a good one to read. And then there's the final book for now. The new one that's supposed to be coming out in 2014, I believe, is called I can't remember what it's called, but it's about the backstory of a character in one of the books that's known as Chlor of the Mask. But the final book is titled A Porson, and it basically, I would say that Sabriel is sort of a standalone story where Lyriel takes off and starts his own story, and A Porson is the ending to that overarching story that started in Lyriel. There was also he also made a one-off little if you want to call it a novella, a light novel sort of thing, about one of the kind of side characters in the series. But that book is called The Creature in the Case. This is the version, the one that was first released. It came out on World Book Day, I believe in the UK. It was like £1, so it didn't really cost that much to get in. But this is the book that was released here that contains that story. It's called Across the Wall, but it also contains other short stories that are unrelated to the Old Kingdom trilogy, but they're also pretty good. I mean, it's Garth Nix. He's a pretty good author. The other book I was trying to think of, in addition to The Rag Witch, that's also good by him, is Shade's Children. It's more of like kind of a sci-fi, but it's kind of hard for me to describe right now, but that's another one I would really recommend. It's just good stuff. Okay, now that we've gotten Garth Nix out of the way, another fantasy series that I would like to recommend are these books by C.S. Friedman. The first one is Black Sun Rising, When True Night Falls, and Crown of Shadows. These books they take place on another planet. This has been years, centuries, I think, after mankind has left Earth, after pretty much ruining it. That's kind of a common element in some stories, but mankind has left Earth to settle amongst the stars, and these people, they crash landed on this one planet, and it's been centuries since then, so all of the old technology, all those kind of things, they've pretty much been lost, and it's developed into a sort of a faith-based culture in that world. There's this place called the Church, and the thing about this world is that there are certain forces in the world that are heavily influenced by your thoughts, your hopes, your fears. There are many things that are in this world that, if you imagine it, it will just apparate. It'll just appear and come for you. Like you're deathly afraid of spiders. Well, then maybe the forces in this world will just pop up a giant spider sometime to come after you or whatever. But it's all about the power of sort of like the power of faith, of belief. Um, it's why the church is so popular in these books, is that if you have enough people believing together, they can that faith, that power, sort of leads towards a force to combat the more fear-inspired things in this world. But this book has it. It's been a while since I read the last two, but the first one it starts off with sort of a backstory about the like the founder of the church and what happens to him. I'm not going to go into any detail because you can read it for yourself. But there's that, and then there is another man who works for the church in a far-off land, and he comes to this other land. You know, stuff happens. Sets off on a journey with a crew of oddballs or whatever, you know. But hey, I think that was pretty good. Just basis to get you going. If you're interested in it, you know, hey, read it. It's great books, a lot of fun. And if you're not, well, there's not much I can do to convince you otherwise. One more. This is sort of just plain fantasy series. A lot of people know these games for the PC. The series is called Myst. Now, when I was a kid, I had I got a copy from the library of the first Myst and installed it on my computer and tried to play it. Let's just say it was really confusing. I had no idea what I was doing. So, you know, it wasn't very easy to get into, okay? And then, a couple of weeks ago, I was just wandering around, like Goodwill, Salvation Army, or whatever it was, and found this, Myst 4 Revelation, and I was like, maybe it was just because I was a kid and I didn't get it then. I'll try this one out. Sure, maybe I'll get it this time. Not so much. I tried it for a couple hours. Still confusing as all hell. And that's where these come in. There are Myst books. And these are, for me, on par with the Old Kingdom trilogy that I told you about earlier from Garth Nix. These are great books that really goes into the actual story of the Myst world. Two of the books, these two latter ones are more prequels. They go into the world sort of before Myst happened, the culture and that culture's downfall, that sort of thing. And this book is about well, you can't see it because of my grainy video, but it's called the Book of Atris. And he's the son of Gan, the guy who does all of the linking books and what they're called. But it, you know, with these linking books, you know, they just hop over to different worlds, different people, all these fascinating things, and it really works well as a book series. So I would highly recommend those. Now to hop off the beaten path a little bit. Here's a maybe an odd recommendation, but Stephen Colbert. I am America, and so can you. I've been a big fan of Colbert ever since he came on Comedy Central, and this book it's really stupid. So I just gotta put that out there. Really stupid, but really funny. That's all about all I have to say for that. But if you like a good laugh and you like books, there's that for you. I don't think this book needs too much recommending from me. I think enough people know about this, but I'm just going to put it out there, especially since I really love the copy of the book I bought. It's nice, solid hardback with the gold leaf pages and that little bookmark ribbon thing. But The Ultimate Hitchhiker's Guide by Douglas Adams. Got this nice gold leafing. It's a wonderful series, very silly, very fun. There was a great miniseries. I believe it was done by the BBC, and then there's the not so great movie that was done by like Hollywood or whatever. But for the original source, this is your perfect book. Another thing that's a little bit silly, serious, but written in a serious manner, sort of, but silly. The Zombie Survival Guide by Max Brooks. Yeah, Brooks. It's the son of Mel Brooks. It's written in an approach that assumes that zombies are a real thing. We all know they're not. Or are they? But it just basically is what it is. It details what you need to do to survive a world infested with zombies. Although it basically only covers things dealing particularly with zombies. Like wilderness survival, all that stuff, it recommends that you check out different books for that kind of thing. But if you're a fan of like zombies or horror movies or any of that sort of thing, or like post-apocalyptic settings, then this is a pretty good book for you. Now here's a book that I had to read when I was taking a course on literature, course on Japanese literature in college. Most of the books they were okay, a bit dry, but this one really struck gold for me. I guess you could say that, but it's called I Am a Cat by Natsume Soseki, and Waga hai wa neko de aru, mada namae wa nai. It takes place in Japan from the perspective of a cat. He's living with this this older man who is a teacher in Japan, and more or less it's sort of a parody, lampoon of Japan, Japanese culture, that sort of thing, from the eyes of, well, what a cat sees, it's pretty, there's some pretty funny things in there, there's some sad stuff too, but it's a good take on like a sort of Japanese perspective on how they view how the world views Japan. And the cat is sort of like the foreigner, the outsider here, watching all these things and giving like a commentary on it. But that's a great book to get. Really recommend that. And okay, I know I said no game related stuff, but this is a really great book that came out recently. I think they're still selling it. If you're a Nintendo fan, if you're a Zelda fan, then you need this. But it's The Legend of Zelda: Hyrule Historia. This has a lot of great things in it for fans of the Zelda series, or if you're just a fan of a particular game. It does have a bit of a bent towards Skyward Sword, since that's what came out when it was first released, when the book was coming out. But there are a lot of good tidbits, information about particular games in the series. There's a lot of artwork, rough designs. There's a manga section in the back. It's not the one from Nintendo Power. If anybody else is as old as me and remembers that cool one by the guy I think who did Cyborg 009, but still pretty cool. And it also has what's been a source of argument for many fans of Zelda over the years, a timeline fitting all of the games into their particular worlds, universes, whatever you want to call it. But that's about all of the books I wanted to recommend to you guys today. And thanks for watching. This is TotemoGaijin. See you later.